Okay, so let's talk final project. All right, so what you're going to do is you are essentially going to form some sort of research question. You are allowed to work with a partner. You are going to design a study to collect the data to answer your question. The easiest way to do that is probably going to be a Google form. And then I'm going to have Miss Elgert post it to the appropriate Schoology pages. We can post it online to different groups so we can get a lot of responses for your question. You're allowed to work with a partner, and the partner doesn't have to be in your specific class. You could work with somebody from second or third period, doesn't matter, but you're only allowed to work with one other person. You can also choose to work by yourself if you want to do that as well. So the objectives of the study are as follows. You're going to identify a question based on a topic of your choice, and I can help you come up with a question if you need help. And you want to make sure that your question can easily lend itself to collect data. Like you wouldn't want to have something that's kind of like you couldn't easily interpret it. So, for example, I could say like um, 30% of New Kent citizens drive pickup trucks or something. That would be easy for me to figure out because I could collect data, and then that would be a proportion hypothesis testing. And so that would be pretty easy to go forward. So then you're going to form your appropriate hypothesis, make sure you state the null, alternative, all that stuff. And so then you're going to collect your data. And you know that simple random sample is the best, but that's not always the easiest thing to do. And so in our case, we're probably going to be having a survey, so that would be a voluntary response. It could also technically be a convenience sample. Let's say you only sample people that go to your church or at your job. So as I mentioned before, you're going to make a Google form, and then I'm going to have Miss Elgert post that, and we're going to post it, and we're going to try to get a lot of people to answer. So then what we're going to do is we're going to analyze our data. We want to describe the shape of our data, the spread, any outliers. You're going to find all your descriptive statistics, so like your mean, your median. Then from there, you're going to make your inferences. So make sure you specifically describe which test you're going to be using. Are you going to be doing the 30% like I said, because then that would be a proportion test. So make sure you go through all of the steps that you learned with that appropriate test, okay? Are you doing a chi-square distribution test? Then the conclusion, this is not simply the conclusion from your hypothesis test. You want to summarize why you were or were not able to support the hypothesis. Tell me about the sampling method, the sample size, what went well with the project, what didn't go well, that sort of thing. And also include a discussion of the design as well as any types of bias. So if we are doing the Google Form survey, we're going to have some bias with that because people might not want to answer. Only people that feel strongly about it answer, that kind of thing. So your final report, you're going to write up everything from the above, and then we're going to make an infographic. And so I have a couple of examples of infographics, and I also am going to have a video that walks you through the software that you're going to use to create it. And then the presentation. So what you're going to do is you're going to record a video where you're presenting your final project and your infographic. So you probably want to make some sort of like slideshow that you and your partner could go through all of the different steps from above. Don't just copy and paste your report into your slideshow because nobody wants to read 100,000 things on a slide, all right? Make it fun, make it interesting. And if you are working with a partner and you guys are not physically in the same area, that's okay. You can set up a Zoom session so that you can both be in the video and record. If you need help with that part, I can help you with that part as well. Okay, so here's our timeline. So I have this starting next week, but if you want to start sooner, you can definitely start sooner. So what you're going to want to do is figure out a question for your sample. So for instance, our question could be that New Kent High School students eat fast food more than 5 times a week. So a question could then be, on average, how many times a week do you eat fast food? And then a qualitative question that could follow that up would be, what kind of fast food do you prefer? So you're going to decide on your sample and figure out how you're going to obtain your data. And then once you have all of that lined up, check in with me so that we can review your question, your claims, all that, so I can make sure that you're starting off strong and have that strong foundation before you move on. Then on Thursday, starting Thursday the 14th, can be earlier, you want to make your survey. The easiest way to do that is going to be that Google form, and we're going to send it out to people. And then you're going to make an appropriate graphical display of your data, talking about all of our descriptive statistics that we've learned, complete all of the steps in hypothesis testing. So I gave you 4 days to work on that. You want to give people a couple of days to go through the survey. So I would say at least bare minimum 3 days. That way we have enough time, and you really, depending on what your sample is, if it's New Kent students or if it's New Kent citizens or if it's anyone in the world, we really want to make sure we have enough time to get that scope, okay? So depending on your sample, if you are just surveying like teenagers in the world, you might want to include something on your Google form that says, where's your location? What state are you in? That sort of thing. And we could see really how far we can push this project. It would be really cool. All right, so you're going to make your infographic, and you're going to use Venngage to do this. I have a video that I will be posting in addition to this one that walks you through the steps. If you need additional assistance with Venngage, we can set up a time to chat with Ms. Elgert. She's kind of the guru with that. And then you are going to record and submit your presentation to me so that I can post it in both second period and third period. Make sure that your presentation is professional. You want to pretend like you are presenting to the actual class, your teachers, admin. Really do a good job with this because this is taking the place of your final exam, okay? Then from there, you need to evaluate at least 3 other projects from other groups, and you're going to fill out a Google form. So you're going to watch their video, and you're going to critique them based on the points in that Google form peer evaluation survey. Okay. So let's talk about grading. All right, so there's a couple different pieces to this project. All right, you are going to be graded by me on your report, okay? And if you need to submit a rough draft, we can work with that as well. And then this is how you're going to be graded on your infographic. And I have a couple of examples of the infographic as well. And then, so your final report is going to be 60% of the, no, I lied. It's only going to be 30. You're 50%. 50% of your final grade. The teacher evaluation of your presentation is going to be 10%. The presentation class evaluation, so that's the 3 peers at least that are reviewing your presentation, that's 10%. And then the infographic is going to be 30% of your grade. Okay, so that's how the final grade for your project is going to be compiled. Okay, all right, so let me show you what an example of infographic is. I think it might be in here. Okay, so here's one example of an infographic. Okay, so you'll notice it's got a nice picture. It's got some information about the data that was collected. Here's another example. The future of learning. So this is kind of cool. I like how the it kind of looks like a web mapping sort of thing, and it brings it all kind of together. So you really have the opportunity to get really creative with this. Here's another example. And I think I've got one more. All right, here we go. Lots of data. I like how the numbers are bigger in this one because it kind of like really pops out. And then I also kind of like this graphic here because it's very visual. It kind of really drives the point home. Okay, I think, yeah, here we go. Here's another example of an infographic. Okay, so lots of different options for ideas that you can pull from. And like I said, we're going to be using the Venngage software for that. So you're going to be able to create some really awesome things with that. Okay. All right. So let me know if you guys have questions. I know that I just threw a ton of information at you, but your first step is going to be to find a partner if you want to work with a partner and start working on that research question. You definitely want to stick to the timeline or move a little bit ahead of the timeline, just because you want to give yourself time to get the data from your samples. Okay. So if you have questions, let me know. I'm here for you, but I'm super excited to see how creative and how awesome you guys are.